Azusa narrates her boring corporate lifestyle and how it eventually killed her. Her soul meets a goddess in the afterlife, who reincarnates her into a new immortal body in another world. She reaches the new world reincarnated into a beautiful 17-year-old girl, and is elated at being free from being a corporate slave. She travels to a nearby village named Falfa, killing a few slimes on the way. She registers with the Adventurers Guild, and the receptionist informs her that she is an immortal witch. She also pays her for the magic stones she obtained from the slimes. Azusa is extremely happy with her new slow-paced lifestyle. She starts living her peaceful life, repeating the day-to-day activities for 300 years. The receptionist at the guild advises her to check her level again, which is now maxed at 99. The receptionist claims that she might be the strongest in the world. It depresses Azusa a bit, as it could lead to her becoming famous. Later, she tries her powers out and freezes an entire waterfall. Later that day, a group of adventurers arrives to test their luck against the witch, but are instantly thwarted. She visits the guild again and finds out that an adventurer named Ernst revealed her true level. Some days later, the strongest dragon in Natara appears at Azusa's doorstep and challenges her. She freezes the dragon's mouth, and he ends up wrecking her house. The dragon promises to retrieve some money he has stored up, and Azusa heads to the village to find refuge for the day. Upon reaching the village, the villagers celebrate her victory and enjoy a feast with her. The next day, a girl named Leica visits her in the village inn, where it is revealed to be the same dragon Azusa defeated. Leica then asks Azusa to accept her as a pupil, which she does as Leica agreed to do her house chores. They reach the hill and start building an even bigger house than before, so that it can accommodate both of them. The next day, Azusa and Leica go out for some slime hunting, while a mysterious girl watches them from afar. Leica cooks a huge amount of food for Azusa, which she gobbles up swiftly. Leica then raises her concerns about the defenses of Falfa, as it appears to be prone to attacks. That night, they begin to create a DIY magical barrier. It starts to work instantly, as a thief inside the village is petrified. The villagers praise Azusa, but she admits that Leica was the one behind the barrier idea. Leica introduces herself to the public, and everyone cheers for her as well. The next day, someone knocks on Azusa's door, who is revealed to be a young girl named Falfa, and she instantly calls her mama. Falfa insists that Azusa gave birth to her, confusing her with Leica. Leica is excited about Azusa's affairs, but Falfa reveals that she has a younger sister as well, who intends to kill the witch. She reveals her sister's name to be Shalsha while consuming the cookies. Falfa also reveals that Shalsha bears a grudge against her, as she is the one who killed her, confusing Azusa even more. Falfa then reveals that Shalsha studies the Smite Evil spell, which takes decades to master. She also reveals her age to be around 50 years. The ground begins to shake, and all of them rush out to witness Shalsha approaching the house. Shalsha then vows to take revenge for her multiple deaths. Falfa reveals that both the sisters are made from the spirits of all the slime Azusa has slain. Azusa unleashes a tornado spell, which Shalsha deflects. Falfa then reveals that the effects of the magic will only last about an hour. Azusa tries to escape, but Shalsha cancels out her magic, resulting in a funny fall. As Shalsha is about to hit Azusa with a blast, Leica saves her in her dragon form. Leica advances and knocks her out with a single touch. Shalsha then wakes up in Azusa's house, and Falfa convinces her to let go of her grudge for the time being. Azusa then convinces them to live with her as her daughters. Azusa is seen enjoying living with her new extended family, until an elf suddenly appears on her doorstep. She begs Azusa to save her from the demon Beelzebub, but she shuts the door. The elf introduces herself as Halkara, who specializes in plant medicine. She explains that an energy drink she invented almost killed Beelzebub, so she is after her for revenge, which prompts Azusa to accept her request to shelter her. Halkara is moved to tears when she is offered hot food, and proceeds to collect herbs with Azusa the next day. Halkara eats an aphrodisiac-inducing mushroom and starts acting lewd, but Azusa blasts her off. The group then enjoys the dishes made of the mushrooms they collected. The next day, Azusa and Halkara visit the guild. They find out that a quest notice was posted regarding the capture of Halkara by none other than Beelzebub. Azusa orders Leica to take Falfa and Shalsha away with her. Azusa notices something odd in her house, but then Beelzebub reveals herself disguised as a fly. Beelzebub then reveals that she had been stalking her for a few days and just wanted to confirm if the woman really was Halkara. Azusa then pulls Halkara behind her and asks Beelzebub to leave, but she challenges her to a fight. Beelzebub flies high but gets electrocuted by the barrier Azusa put up for their defense. Beelzebub faints and Azusa has to heal her inside her home. She then reveals that her energy drink is beloved by all demons, and she is actually here to make them some more. Asusa is annoyed by the revelation, but Halkara promptly apologizes. The next day, Beelzebub leaves, saying that she will teach Asusa how to summon her, so that they can settle their score later. Halkara pries Asusa about her romantic experience, but she brushes her off. Leica readies the breakfast, but announces that she'll return to her own home now. Asusa gets concerned, but Leica explains that she needs to attend her sister's wedding and invites everyone. They leave for Mount Rocco, and upon reaching it, they encounter a thunder of dragons partying. Leica introduces the group to her parents and sister. Her father informs her that there has been a bit of unrest among the dragon clans, and some of them might show up to crash the wedding. Suddenly, a few blue dragons fly above them, freezing everything in sight. The blue dragon queen Flatheart declares her intention of ruining the wedding due to her being single for over 400 years. She then threatens to freeze the volcano as well, but the red dragons also declare war. Leica confronts Flatheart while Asusa escapes with Halkara and her daughters. A blue dragon then attacks Asusa, but she kicks her off a cliff and decides to join the battle. Blue dragons surround Asusa and attack all at once, but she evades the attack and knocks them all down. Flatheart appears behind her and tries to take her down with an ice beam, but Asusa counters with a fireball. Flatheart then crashes down below, and all the blue dragons run away in fear while the red dragons hail Asusa. Asusa and Leica then go on to the volcano to counter the other dragons, but they find out that Beelzebub, who happened to be around the town, has already taken care of them. They then confront Flatheart in her human form and demand repayment for damages, which she reluctantly accepts. Asusa also makes Flatheart agree to a peace treaty among the dragons in the presence of Beelzebub. They then attend the formal reception of the wedding, where Halkara passes out from the alcohol. At the end of the trip, all the girls enjoy a bath at the hot springs. A few days later, all the members discuss the behavior of Halkara. They are concerned if she wants to move out, but she informs them that she is looking for a new factory location for her drinks. The next evening, Halkara explains that a ghost has appeared in her new factory in Nest. Halkara asks Asusa for help. She decides to summon Beelzebub, but she lands straight in the bathtub. Beelzebub is annoyed that she was summoned for such a small task, but Falfa and Shalsha convince her. Halkara then asks her to wait until the evening for the ghost, which makes her a bit annoyed. They reach the factory in the evening, where she leads them to the room where the ghost appears. Beelzebub threatens the ghost to show herself and catches her after a countdown. The ghost introduces herself as Rosalie, who died after her parents tried to sell her. Beelzebub tries to annihilate her, but Asusa stops her, saying that she wants to free the ghost instead. Rosalie explains that she can't leave the house, but Beelzebub says that if she possesses a living human once, then she can be free. The group ties Halkara down and Rosalie possesses her, after which Asusa invites her to live with them as well. They reach home, where Rosalie tries to leave Halkara's body, but isn't able to do so. Beelzebub says that if she stays in the body for 24 hours, then Halkara might die due to it. They try various weird, but hilarious methods to separate her from Halkara's body. As a last resort, they get Rosalie and Halkara's body drunk, after which they throw her into a cold bath that separates the two. Rosalie shows off her telekinetic powers at the dinner table. So, the group decides to use Rosalie's power to help the common folk and end the ghost rumor. A few days later, Beelzebub shows up out of the blue. She declares that Asusa is going to be awarded the Demon Medal of Honor, thus inviting all of them. They start planning for the ceremony, but Rosalie is unable to change into a new dress due to her being a ghost. Shalsha guides them to an expert on ghosts, who informs them that nothing can be done to change the appearance of a ghost. Rosalie accepts the fact, but Asusa is still not ready to give up. Asusa then goes on and creates a spell that can actually change the appearance of a ghost by envisioning themselves in that dress. Rosalie then changes into a new dress, and everyone seems extremely excited by her new appearance. As they all prepare to leave, Beelzebub arrives on a huge flying whale known as a Leviathan to take them all to the demon realm. Above the Leviathan is a mansion. They go inside and meet the Leviathan's younger sister Vania, who is in charge of taking care of the guests. Beelzebub then advises Asusa to be proud of herself, as she ended a centuries-old conflict among the dragons. The group is then treated to a lavish meal before moving on to take a bath in the Demon Springs. During the night, everyone is asleep except Rosalie, who thinks about her life. Halkara then arrives at the scene and advises Rosalie not to worry about anything as she is now a part of their family. The next morning everyone wakes up worried as Halkara is nowhere to be found, but she reveals herself to be below a bed. Beelzebub arrives to inform them that they've reached Vanzeld, the capital of the demon realm, to meet the demon king. But they all get scared. They reach the castle and walk to the throne room. A little girl appears and shakes everyone's hands. Beelzebub reveals that the little girl is the demon king herself. She introduces herself as Pravat Pecora Eliers, while Halkara bends down in shame due to her behavior. Pecora tries to console Halkara, but she gets up and knocks her out. Halkara is then imprisoned and processed for execution. They devise a plan to collect some herbs and awaken the demon lord, so that she can reverse the decision. Leica takes on the form of a small dragon, collecting all the herbs. Azusa then creates an anileptic drink, while Vania climbs to the window and hands them a map. Vania then gives Azusa a doctor's outfit and carries her over to the demon lord. As they reach the room, the other demon generals question Azusa's authenticity, and she reveals herself in front of them. The demons bind Vania and attack Azusa, but she kicks the guards away. She then makes quick work of the other remaining generals who try to stop her. Azusa enters the demon lord's room, who wakes up and asks if she was trying to poison her. She then declares that in order to prove her innocence, she will have to battle her. Pecora begins her assault, but Azusa successfully dodges all her attacks. Azusa then gets a bit serious and destroys Pecora's sword with one blow. Azusa then slams the wall behind Pecora and convinces her to stop Halkara's execution. Pecora grabs Azusa, calling her big sister, and displays her intentions of obeying her forever. Azusa goes on with the ruse, running her hand across Pecora's face, and makes her order the release of Halkara. Pecora then asks Azusa for a kiss on the cheek, but the others run into them midway and misunderstand the situation. Azusa then goes on to distribute hugs and kisses to everyone to end the conflict. In the evening, Azusa, Leica, and surprised Flatort get an award for peace, where Pecora orders Azusa to brush Flatort's horns, embarrassing her. The next day, they meet Vania's elder sister Flatla on their way home, where it is revealed that Flatort is now Azusa's servant as she touched her horns. Azusa finds Flatort and Leica arguing over their cookies. Rosalie explains that, since the dragons cannot fight physically, they have resorted to settling the dispute through cooking. However, Azusa declares both of them winners after a taste test. Suddenly, Natalie appears at their door. She explains that there is an infestation of long hammer boars in Nilka Forest, and the guild needs their help to subdue them. Leica and Flatort rush to the forest with the others as they want to eat some meat. Rosalie spots some boars, and Flatort runs off naked to fight them. She returns to wear them, but afterwards one of the boars grabs her clothes and throws them in the river. Nevertheless, they defeat the boars and eat their meat, while Beelzebub appears with Flatla and hands over her clothes, which they found. Beelzebub explains that she was investigating the boars as well. The next day, Azusa finds out that there is someone out there pretending to be her, and she decides to find her. They visit a bar in the nearby town, where a poorly mannered hostess greets them. They ask for information on the imposter, but the hostess asks them to insult the customers first, which they enjoy for some reason. After the weirdness slows down, the hostess tells them to head north. They find an old witch surrounded by a crowd and inform everyone that she's an imposter. She tries to run away, but they catch her quickly. The old lady transforms into a young girl, who introduces herself as Eno, a young witch. She takes them to her hut and shows them the medicines she makes. However, no one buys them due to poor marketing. The next day, they set up a shop in the market for her, and she ends up selling a lot of medicines and making a name for herself. All the girls discover that Falfa has suddenly turned into a slime. They all decide that a demon can best answer all their questions and summon Beelzebub again in the bathtub. They travel to Vanzeld Castle to visit an intelligent slime on Leica's back. They descend to the lowest floor of the castle. They reach the black slime and he communicates with them through a board, prompting yes and no. They ask about Falfa's situation, and the slime directs them to the magician slime in the tallest mountain in Tomuriana province. Later, they reach a hut on a mountain, and a blonde girl opens the door. She introduces herself as the magician slime and invites them inside. She takes a look at Falfa and comes to the conclusion that she has reverted to her slime form due to bad sleeping posture. She then directs the group to a fighter named Slime, who is in a tournament being held in the southern town of Kelney. They reach the town to find out that Beelzebub is also trying to enter the tournament along with Azusa. Both of them advance quickly, defeating opponents easily. They reach the final, and it is revealed that Falfa has returned to her old state with the help of fighter Slime. However, the match between the two continues. They both fight furiously, but Azusa ends up knocking Beelzebub out. Beelzebub still wanted to continue fighting her, but Azusa says they can have a rematch later. Beelzebub then tells Azusa that people have now realized that the rumor about her being the strongest witch is actually true. Azusa then thanks Busura for helping her daughters. Busura demands a fight with her, but she is easily lost from Azusa's slime aura as she has killed hundreds of them. After the fight ends, Fighter Slime asks Beelzebub to accept her as a student, which she does after persuasion from Azusa. Back in their town, the group notices a minstrel's poster named Skifanoia and decides to stay and watch it. The crowd gathered around the singer quickly disperses as she starts her hideous-sounding death metal band. Although Flattered is seen to be able to tolerate it, they stop to listen a bit more, but realize that the singer has fainted out of hunger. They take the singer back home and feed her. She introduces herself as Cuckoo, and she then explains how she left her hometown to become a minister, but has been unsuccessful so far. Azusa tries to convince her to not give up and think about her dreams. Cuckoo argues that she doesn't even have money for rent anymore, but Azusa prompts her to stay with them. Flat Earth then advises Cuckoo to change her music style, which annoys her. Cuckoo is about to leave. Just then Beelzebub arrives with some alcohol as her work is finished. She wants to go on a vacation and want to spend more time with Falfa and Sasha. Cuckoo decides to perform in front of everyone before she leaves. Beelzebub is impressed by her singing and invites her to perform at a demon music festival, while also inviting the others to attend. They go on board the Leviathan again and reach the festival. Cuckoo gets stage fright, but Flatart motivates her. Leica and Flatart start to banter, which makes Cuckoo laugh and forget about her fears. She puts on a spectacular show, winning over the audience. The group celebrates Cuckoo's success as Beelzebub enters the room to reveal that Cuckoo got many performance orders, making her happy. A few days later, all the ladies prepare for a mushroom eating party. However, Halkara makes a mistake while picking the mushroom and makes Azusa eat a shrinking mushroom. Everyone starts adoring the new and young Azusa, treating her like a child. She falls asleep with Falfa and Shalsha and is even given a decorated omelet like a child. Leica asks Azusa's permission to pet her head, and Flatort joins in as well. Next, Rosalie asks if she could comb Azusa's hair, and she gives that permission as well. Halkara enters the room and Azusa asks her if she found the cure, but she bows down to apologize. Azusa then summons Beelzebub for a solution, who also starts coddling her. She takes Azusa, Falfa, and Shalsha with her to the demon capital, where they run into Pecora, who coddles her as well. Pecora then advises them to go to a pharmacist, who lives in the World Tree, and ask him for a cure as he knows every medicine in the world. Pecora explains that the World Tree is a maze, and they'll have to climb up to the 108th floor to meet the pharmacist. She orders Vania and Fatla to escort her to the World Tree. They reach the World Tree and enter it to find out that it has been turned into a place similar to a mall, and they can take the elevator to any floor. They go up the floors, exhausting their money as the business strategies used by demons are very shady. After floor 84, they start to experience real dungeon-like situations and start enjoying their journey. They finally reach the 107th floor and step onto a balcony with a beautiful view. Finally, they reach the pharmacist's shop on the 108th floor, where they find out that the cure for her was actually made by Eno, whom they helped a while earlier. They run into Eno, who is delivering her medicine, and who came on a dragon. Azusa reaches back at the castle and takes the pill, which reverts her back to her original state, tearing her clothes in the process. Azusa, with her clothes teared up, suggests that she might as well take a bath, and all the other ladies join her as well. Pecora talks to Azusa and explains her how grateful she truly is to have a sister-like figure in her life, which is in fact her. She then asks Azusa for a favor and explains that she wants to grab her chest. Azusa gets flustered and runs around the bath while Pecora follows her around. The squad is at a festival in their hometown, which lasts for 2 days. Azusa has an epiphany while eating at a restaurant and decides to open a cafe. She orders waitress uniforms for everyone, and they try them on and even use a spell so that Rosalie can change as well. However, Leica looks the prettiest in the outfit, startling the others. They try to come up with a menu, which Halkara has already planned out. But Azusa has to remove several items from the list as they weren't very appropriate for a social gathering such as a festival. They set up the tables and chairs at the location and also distributed pamphlets to the general public. The next day, Azusa wakes up to see a long line in front of their house for the opening of the cafe. They open the shop a bit early and serve all the customers with finesse. However, the customers are most fascinated by Leica's beauty and even faint from nosebleeds. Even Beelzebub and Pecora appear to help out the lot with their chores, and Pecora changes into a maid dress. Pecora entertains the guests with a heart like magic, which ends up being a crowd favorite. Pecora also proclaims that she always wanted to be a part of such a cafe, and now her dream has finally come true. Vania and Flauta also attend the opening and start working as chefs, displaying their extremely good cutting and cooking skills. Later, Cuckoo and Flattered even perform a song to please the public, which they all like. The whole opening turns into a great success, after which Beelzebub and Pecora leave for the demon capital. Azusa reminisces the 300 years which she spent in this new world and wonders what else this world has in store for her. The next day, Azusa ventures out to hunt slimes, and all their lives continue in a normal fashion. The end. After this episode ends, watch the left side video if you have missed the previous video. Also, subscribe to Annie Summary for more anime recaps.